Did you know there's one behavior that's silently destroying your relationship and you might be doing it right now? If you've ever felt like no matter how nice you are, things keep getting worse, stick around. I'm about to reveal the hidden trap of deering and how to break free from it to reignite respect, attraction, and desire. We're going live.
We'll do it live.
This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
What's up, fellas? We again are not live today. Nurse Chick and I are on our way back from the Jericho cruise, and I'm sure we had a blast. I don't know because there is a space-time continuum here, and this version of me hasn't gone on it yet. So let me ask you guys this. Actually, hold on. God, I messed this up again, didn't I? If you guys are new to the show, my name is Paul Bauer, and I help men level up and get better with women. And the funny thing about that is that by doing that, we tend to become better men in all areas of our lives. So let me ask you this, guys, okay? Are you tired of feeling like the nice guy who always bends over backward in your relationship, but never seems to get the respect that you deserve or desire? What if I told you there's a hidden behavior sabotaging your attraction and killing her respect without you even realizing it? This one mistake called deering quietly destroys your confidence, hands over your power, and flips the natural balance of your attraction upside down. And the worst part, the harder you try to explain yourself and make things right, the worse it gets. So stay with me here, because in this episode, I'll show you exactly how to escape the deering trap, rebuild your frame, and reclaim the leadership role that reignites passion and respect in your relationship. All right, now, guys, we did talk about deering before because, listen, we talk about it a lot, but we are going over chapter 5 in my book, Get Her to F You Again. And chapter 5 is all about deering and the nice guy trap, okay? Now, we talked about deering a bit in chapter 3 as well, if you go back a couple episodes. Now, the biggest complaint I get about my book is how repetitive it is. Even Aaron Clary did a review of it, and he was like, this book is really repetitive. Okay. I get that. But here's the thing. I really want to drive these concepts home with you in the book. Okay. And if you listen to these concepts repeatedly, they will seep into your subconscious mind and form better habits. Okay. Habits are really something that we do without thinking about it. It's muscle memory. It's stuff that's in our subconscious mind. It's a part of our paradigm. Talk about that in my second book, Psychology Paradigm. Okay. So that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to beat this stuff into your subconscious mind so you just do it without thinking about it. Okay. Now, these concepts, when we do that, when we beat them into your subconscious mind, will become a part of who you are. And that's the goal at the end of the day. Okay. There's a method to my madness, Aaron Clary. Before we get into it, though, guys, do be sure to, I don't think he tunes into my show at all. Do be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications. And if you guys are watching during the pre-recorded live, sound off in the chat today, okay? You can talk amongst yourselves. You can drop your favorite emoji. It doesn't matter, but commenting during a live stream tells YouTube and Facebook that people are watching and engaging, and that boosts us in the algorithm. So please do that. If you guys are watching the replay, drop a comment below. It could be an emoji or whatever as well. It could just, you can just say like the show. It doesn't matter what you put. If you guys are listening on Spotify, you can leave comments below as well. You guys can send super chats during these pre-records. I just can't bring them up on the screen, obviously, because I'm not there. But if you ever do send a super chat during a live stream, I make sure to screenshot that and then give you a shout out on social media so that you can get the credit you so rightfully deserve for supporting the show. Okay. All right. So like all these other books that I've been sort of going through, I'm not going to read this chapter to you. I'm going to just give you the top concepts of the chapter because I really want you to get the book itself. My coach Nikki actually read the book and he was like, dude, I've been applying this stuff and my marriage is like getting better. He said that his wife came up to him the other day and said, I don't know what's going on, but I just feel like I'm falling in love with you all over again. I'm like, that's the goal, brother. That's the goal. All right, so the first concept here is deering behavior. And if you've ever tuned into my show or you've read No More Mr. Nice Guy or you tuned into Ryan Stone, like you've probably heard of the concept of deering, okay? But deering or DEER, D-E-E-R, it's an acronym, stands for defend, explain, excuse, rationalize. And it's natural instinctual behavior for a lot of us guys. You know, someone attacks us, someone criticizes us, like our natural gut instinct is to try to justify why we did what we did. Okay. But by doing that, it actually makes you look weak, right? A king doesn't have to explain himself to the subjects. So if you feel like you have to explain yourself, you're putting the person you're explaining yourself to in a higher position than you. It makes you look weak. Okay. So that's why it really hurts you in a relationship dynamic, because for a woman's hypergamy to be used to your advantage, she has to see you as better than her in some way. And if you are explaining yourself to her all the time, she's like, now you're putting her in a place where she's better than you. And now she's looking down on you. And that causes her to lose attraction over time. So defending yourself, explaining yourself, excusing yourself, it's just completely unattractive behavior, right? It weakens a man's frame by signaling insecurity and approval seeking. Okay, you're seeking her approval on your actions. You don't need her approval. Okay, if you're the captain in the relationship, you are the head of the household. You set the tone. You lead. You don't need to explain yourself. Okay, so when you do that, it's basically approval seeking behavior, and she looks at you like you're weak, and she loses respect for you, and she can't love you if she doesn't respect you, right? And so over time, right, deering just completely erodes that respect and attraction in relationships. Right? You've been doing it for years now. She just has zero respect for you anymore. She walks all over you. She knows she can get her way with you. You know, she knows that like no matter what you say, it doesn't matter. She has no respect for you anyway, right? Now we talked about frame a little bit, right? It weakens a man's frame. So why is that a big deal? Well, the importance of frame. Rollo, if you ever have read The Rational Male, he's got the 9 iron rules. Iron rule number 1 is frame is everything. There's a reason why it's number 1. It's number 1 for a reason. It's probably one of the most important things a man can have in a relationship dynamic. A man's frame represents his confidence, decisiveness, and self-assuredness. Basically, if you have good, strong mental frame, it signals to her that no matter what she's doing, what kind of womany thing she's doing, it's not going to throw you off center. It's not going to bother you. It's not going to shake you. It's not going to rattle you. And when she knows that she can't get her way with you, she can't manipulate you, that actually causes her to respect you more. And that boosts attraction, you see. So the more she's able to get her way with you, the more she's able to walk all over you, all that kind of stuff, the more she loses that respect, the more that attraction erodes. It's very simple. It's very simple at the end of the day, okay? So if you can maintain frame, it shows strength and stability. And she needs that in a relationship. Like women need that sort of safety structure to make them feel secure in a relationship. Women are security-seeking creatures at the end of the day that respond to strength. So if you could provide that for her, that actually boosts attraction. And whenever you lose frame, basically whenever she's able to get you up into your feels, get you up into your emotion, a good example of this is when you get pissed at her and start yelling at her. You've lost frame. You've lost frame. She's able to rattle you. She's able to get you up in your feelings, right? You've lost frame. And basically what you end up doing is you're seeking validation, and that shifts the relationship dynamic negatively. It makes her the arbiter of what's right and wrong in the relationship. It puts her in the leadership role. And now she looks down on you, and now she thinks you're weak and pathetic, and she doesn't want to fuck you anymore. We're past the 8-minute mark. I can say that. So it's paramount to understand these types of dynamics, right? These types of negative things that you're probably doing, these types of bad habits, so that you can change them to do more attractive things. That's why in the red pill space, we say be attractive, don't be unattractive, right? Be attractive means, grooming, being in good shape, not being a fat bastard, that sort of thing. But don't be unattractive is how you act, how you show up in the relationship. Don't deer, right? Because all that kind of stuff causes attraction to erode. So you have to be the guy that maintains your mental frame. That's being attractive. You understand? Okay, cool. Cool. Guys, follow me on social media. The links are in the description. I am on all the good platforms. Get on the email list.comeonmanpod.com. Get the ebook, She's Made You Weak. It's all about the betaization process and how attraction erodes slowly over time. And women do this subconsciously. They don't even realize they're doing it. And a part of them doing this is to test to see if you're going to be able to provide that safety and security in the relationship, right? And then if you don't know how to deal with this stuff, that's going to erode her attraction over time. And then she's going to dump you and go bang the pool boy. You understand? So if you want to turn that dynamic around, you have to understand what's happening first. Then once you understand what's happening, you want to expand on that, try to turn that dynamic around yourself. Get the book, which is what we're going over today. Get Her to Fuck You Again. You can get it at books.comeonmanpod.com. That will take you to my Amazon authors page. You can just search for it. You can search for Paul Bauer on Amazon or on Audible, and you'll find my books there. Let me play a commercial for the new book, and then we'll get back to the topic today.
Are you tired of the dead bedroom? Wondering what happened to the passion, the connection, and the spark? Well, here's your answer. Introducing Get Her to Fuck You Again, a red pill guide to fix a dead bedroom, now on Amazon. This isn't about manipulation or tricks. It's about real strategies that work. If your wife has stopped being intimate with you, it's not because the love is gone. It's because the attraction is gone. And that's fixable. This book will teach you the skills to lead your marriage, rebuild your confidence, and become the man she can't stop thinking about. 3 reasons to get this book. 1. It breaks the cycle. You'll learn how to stop doing the same things that are killing her attraction and start doing the things that reignite it. 2. It's practical and proven. With clear, actionable steps, you'll build yourself into the man you were always meant to be. 3. It works for men like you. Paul Bauer has helped hundreds of men just like you fix their dead bedrooms. And now, it's your turn. Don't let another day go by feeling frustrated and disconnected. Go to Amazon right now and buy Get Her to Fuck You Again. Read it, apply it, and watch your marriage transform. The connection isn't gone forever. You just need the roadmap to get it back. And this book is it.
Whoop, whoop. All right. The next concept here is attraction and polarity. The first time I ever even heard about polarity, I think I read about it in How to Be a 3% Man. And Dr. Robert Glover also talks about it in Dating Essentials for Men. And yes, I quote a lot or have a lot of concepts from those books in Get Her to Fuck You Again. And I say it repeatedly, and that annoyed the shit out of Aaron Clary. He's like, you could have just put it at the beginning of the book, like, hey, all these concepts come from these guys, and then just left it at that. I'll probably try to fix that in my next book. That's going to be coming out in June, because I have the same kind of writing style in that one too. But really, I want you guys to read these books. I want you to read this book, and then also like expand on this information by reading those other books too. And so, if the more I mention those books in my book, the more like that, it's like that repetition is going to seep in your head, and you're going to go, oh, I want to read that. That's the idea anyway, because I want to support these guys that supported me, right? Anyway, both Corey and Dr. Glover talk about it because they're,
Please stand by. We are having technical difficulties.
And we're back. All right. I had some problems with my camera. This has been happening the last couple of days where all of a sudden the browser loses connectivity with the camera, and it's not like anything's happening. So I don't know what's going on with that. I had to uninstall the USB driver and reboot the computer for all the USB hubs, and sometimes that fixes it. But this I've had this camera for years. It might be on its way out. It's a Nexico. It wasn't very expensive in the first place. So I have another camera I can replace it with. We'll see. Hopefully we can get through this episode though, with minimal editing. All right. So we were talking about attraction and polarity, and I was talking about how I first learned about this through Corey Wayne's book and Dr. Robert Glover's book, Dating Essentials for Men. Well, they both learned that concept from David Deida, in his book, The Way of the Superior Man, right? Which I think it was a pretty good book, but it was kind of a one and done for me, right? Some other guys really like that book, but one of the key ideas there is that relationships really thrive when a man embraces his masculine role and energy and a woman embraces her feminine role and energy, right? So I talk a lot about that in the book, right? Attraction thrives on the balance between masculine leadership and feminine receptivity, right? A woman who she's designed to receive a man both physically and spiritually and mentally and emotionally, okay? So the problem with deering is it undermines that polarity by making the man appear uncertain and submissive. That submissive part is you being more feminine and putting her into her masculine role, which is just unnatural for the both of you, which kills that attraction, okay? Women are biologically drawn to strength, decisiveness, and leadership in men. And when you're deering, it basically shows that you're not confident in your decisiveness in your decisions. You're not confident in what you decided to do. You're not confident in your leadership, and it makes her question your authority and your ability to lead. Okay, so you don't want to do that. You don't want to be constantly justifying and explaining why you do what you do. You don't have to if you're the boss. Okay. And the problem with that leads us to our next concept here, right? Deering is a symptom of something called nice guy syndrome, which Dr. Robert Glover is the guy that sort of coined that term, and he talks all about it in No More Mr. Nice Guy. But it's rooted in societal conditioning that being agreeable and conflict averse, that somehow earns your love, right? If you make everybody happy, you're a people pleaser, that kind of stuff is going to somehow give you a problem-free life. You know, people are going to love you for being nice and considerate. That's not how it works. Okay. People don't love people they don't respect, especially women. Okay. And so what this does is it leads to this thing called covert contracts, which we're going to get into more, but covert contracts is where, men sort of expect rewards for their nice behavior, right? I'm giving to get. That's basically what a covert contract is. And what that tends to do is it creates resentment on both sides. Okay. Because you're doing all this nice stuff in order to get stuff, usually sex. And when that doesn't happen, when you don't get that outcome that you're trying to get by doing these nice things, that builds resentment. Okay. And then she resents you because you're not being the strong masculine man in the relationship. And now she has to be the man in the relationship. Now she resents you for not doing your job as the man. Okay. So you got resentment on both sides, and that just completely kills attraction. Okay. It just causes conflict. All right. Now that we got that out of the way, guys, join the beer club, beer.comeonmanpod.com. It's a perfect place to go if you're in a relationship and you're dealing with this kind of stuff and you want to bounce ideas off of other guys that are working on this kind of stuff. Okay. Perfect place for it. It's only $10 a month. Plus we have monthly video calls where we get together and talk about guy stuff, right? It's not even that heavy. It's not like a therapy session. It's just guys hanging out, talking with the boys, But what's different from our group and then going to your local bar and hanging out with those guys is that we actually have some clue of what's going on, because all these guys are studying the stuff. All these guys have been where you've been, and they've learned to turn things around. And so it's a great place to swap notes with like-minded guys. If you go to the bar, it's a bunch of clueless dudes that are there because they're trying to get away from their wives because they don't have these types of skills. You understand? So it's much better to join this group, and it's only $10 a month. Okay. And then if you guys want to work with me one-on-one, you can book a free call with me by going to call.fixeddeadbedrooms.com. if you guys have noticed that you're doing this kind of stuff, the deering, the nice guy type stuff, and it's just not getting where you want to be in your relationship. In fact, it's causing more problems in your relationship. Let's turn that around. Okay. Book a free call with me. Go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com. All right. The next concept we have here is covert contracts, right? So I just mentioned that, but covert contracts, what they are is they're unspoken agreements where men expect reciprocity for certain actions, right? If I do the dishes, you're going to fuck me more. If I clean the gutters, you're going to fuck me more. If I take you out to a lavish steak dinner, you're going to fuck me more, right? All that kind of stuff is a covert contract. That's why a lot of guys get really frustrated on dating, on the dating circuit, because they are just constantly doing covert contracts in order to try to win girls over. And these girls are happy to take advantage of it. Your wife is happy to take advantage of your nice behavior, but they don't respect you for doing it. You understand? That's why I was telling my son the other day, and I mentioned this on the podcast before, but he wanted to have flowers and candies and stuff to ask this girl to dance. And I said, don't do that. Don't do that, man. You don't need to do any of that. Women need to earn that kind of stuff. You can't just give that kind of stuff away for free, because if you do, they don't respect you for it. They're happy to use you. And then you're going to feel really resentful that you bought all this stuff and then she didn't appreciate it. So just don't do that to begin with. Make her earn that kind of stuff, right? Anyway, follow up. He asked her out and she did say yes. So good job. Good job, bub. He basically did it the way I told him to, with a slight modification that I wouldn't have done, but it worked out. So whatever, he's got to learn. He's got to learn. So women, they don't respond positively to transactional behavior disguised as kindness. And that's what a covert contract is, right? You're pretending to be nice when in reality, you're anything but. You're trying to get something from her. Okay. That's, sleazy manipulative behavior. Women are the master manipulators, so they know when it's being done to them, right? Now, these covert contracts, they create resentment when expectations aren't met, right? So when, like I said, when you go to clean the gutters and you're expecting your wife to fuck you and then she doesn't fuck you, you get pissed off. Why the fuck did I waste my time doing all this shit when she won't even do this for me? That's a covert contract. If you find yourself saying that kind of stuff a lot, you're probably doing a lot of covert contract type stuff. Now, here's where guys get totally screwed up, right? They will go complete opposite. And if something needs to be done around the house, like cleaning the gutters, for instance, and their wife's not banging them, they'll just flat out refuse to do that stuff. It's well, that stuff still needs to get done. You know what I mean? So this is where taking the lead on the stuff and doing it because it needs to get done is a better way of going about life than doing it because you're trying to get sex out of her, right? Because if you're doing it because it needs to get done, you don't care if you're having sex or not, it needs to get done, right? You're just doing it because you're doing it, and you're taking the initiative and taking the lead on it, and she doesn't have to bug you about it. That's actually going to do more for you to build attraction than waiting for her to tell you to do something and then you do it because you think you're going to get something from it. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Okay. The next concept here is confidence and leadership. And Aaron Clary read my book and he hates that I talk about leadership so much in the book, but it is paramount that I beat that into your fucking skull so that you can understand that that's your job. You are the masculine leader in this relationship. Okay. If you don't want to do that, then long-term relationships just aren't for you. Okay. It's just not for you. Just spin plates forever. You don't have to you have to really lead that much when you do that. Okay. But if you're going to have a family, if you're going to be a father, if you want that kind of life, that's your job. Okay. It's part of the deal. But confidence is the cornerstone of male attractiveness. And one of the things that Dr. Glover talks about in Dating Essentials for Men is that women respond to confidence the same way as men respond to a great pair of tits, right? They are hardwired to respond to confidence. So learning to not deer shows confidence in your ability to make decisions and lead the relationship. And that confidence by itself really drives attraction. Your wife can't help. She can't help but respond to that. Okay. Women are drawn to men who act decisively and trust their gut, right? You know what you're doing is right. And even if you're not sure it's the right decision, you know that it's the best decision you can make in the moment. And if it doesn't work out, you'll course correct, but everything will be fine. Right? If you have that mentality, hey, everything's gonna be fine, everyth's gonna work out, it's all gonna come out in the wash. Don't worry about it, baby. She's gonna be like, ooh, yeah, I like that. Let's do your plan. I trust you, right? If you really have this sort of air about you that like it's all going to work out, don't worry about it, baby, she's going to believe it too. Okay. And she's going to be drawn to that. That's why one of the things I tell guys, when they do the breakthrough calls with me, like there's of the guys that come to me and really see results, they have 4 specific qualities. The guys that get results have 4 specific qualities, and one of them is they're decisive, right? They know, like, okay, I'm going to go with my gut here. I know I can't do this on my own. I'm going to get someone that can walk me through this, and they make that decision right there on the spot, right? Those guys do well in the program. Guys who are very wishy-washy, can't make a decision for shit, guys that do analysis paralysis and they have to think about it for weeks on end, they don't do that well because they don't trust themselves to make good decisions, right? That kind of stuff kills attraction. So you got to learn to be more decisive, okay? Because that being more decisive not only will help you be more attractive to your girl, get her to fuck you again, but it also will help you in all areas of your life. Like, successful people are naturally more decisive. They make decisions very quickly and they change their minds very rarely. Okay. And then constantly seeking approval signals insecurity and kills attraction. So a big problem with guys who are indecisive too, right, is that they need to talk to their wife. Oh, I got to talk to the wife about this. I got to bounce things off her. I got to get her analysis on this. Well, that's essentially approval seeking behavior. And then she loses attraction to you. That basically makes her the decider. If you're like, I need to get her sign off on this, that makes her the boss. That basically makes you the woman in the relationship. Okay. All that kind of stuff signals insecurity and it kills attraction. The next concept in the chapter is boundary setting. So boundaries are paramount. We talk about them a lot in the show. We talk about them in AJ's books, which we've been going over on Fridays. Is a prevalent concept in this book. It's a prevalent concept in the Red Pill. But boundaries assert self-respect, and they also communicate that a man values his needs, right? And a big problem with nice guy syndrome is that guys go out of their way to caretake and people please and do everything to make other people happy and meet other people's needs and never make sure they get their needs met. And then they resent their wives or girlfriends because their wives or girlfriends aren't meeting those needs. It's like, well, you've never communicated those needs. And you do that. A part of that is through assertive communication and boundary setting, right? Now, women, they really respect men who enforce boundaries confidently and consistently. And a part of that is just because it builds structure around the relationship. Like, women's natural instinct and their feminine nature is chaos. It's chaotic. That's why women are like all about drama and stuff like that. They're hyper led by emotions. And that's why they really seek a man that is good with that has good solid frame, that's emotionally durable, that can set those boundaries because it provides the necessary structure to make her feel safe and secure in an unsecure world, right? And then boundaries also create healthy tension. A lot of guys are going around all the time trying to squash any tension they have in a relationship, and that kills attraction. Women need that tension for that sexual chemistry to develop. And so just setting boundaries creates healthy emotional tension, right? I call it healthy emotional anticipation and tension, heat. It creates that heat, and that sustains attraction in the long term, all right? Attraction and respect. The next concept here is probably going to be a short episode. It's hard to tell because I had to actually record this in 2 parts because of the camera issue. But it's probably going to be a short episode today, but that's okay. That's okay. We're going to be live again here on Friday. This is the last pre-record. the next concept is authenticity and strength. So a big thing, a big reason why women test men, right? We call them shit tests or fitness tests or frame checks or whatever, is women can intuitively sense when a guy is being inauthentic, right? And so a lot, this is why like pickup artistry doesn't work for long-term relationships. It works fine for hookups, but it's because you're putting on a facade, you're putting on an act. It's not a part of who you are. You're not really being authentic, right? So women can sense this over time. They're like, wait, this guy's a fraud, right? This guy's a fake. And they do that by testing, right? They're shit tests. They sort of weeds out guys' inauthenticity. So they can sense this, and they can sense actions motivated by neediness and stuff. And they could do that through the way they test you and not comply with what you're saying and whatever it is that you're doing. Okay. So a part of all this stuff, and one of the reasons why my book is so repetitive, is to build that into you so it's a habit. So you do it without thinking about it. So it becomes a part of who you are. So you are more authentic, right? It's about becoming the best possible version of yourself without even have to think about it. Okay. Because women can sniff that out. So once you become more authentic, you really, authentically improve yourself and increase your sexual market value. That authenticity, what it does is it involves leading with values and actions aligned with personal integrity. And but you've got to make that a part of who you are, or else women are going to sniff right through that stuff, right? That lack of authenticity, it's going to erode your masculine presence, and it's going to diminish the polarity. She's going to know you're a fraud, right? So you can't fake it. This is one of those things you can't fake it till you make it, right? Because you might be able to fake it for a while, but if you can't maintain frame, if you can't set boundaries, if you can't do all that kind of stuff, she's going to know, hey, this guy's a fraud, right? And that's why a lot of times when you start going down this journey, you'll find that your wife might actually start testing you more. It's because she sees these positive changes in you, and she wants to see, is this the real you? This new guy that's showing up and doing all this cool stuff, is this really him? So she might actually test you more, right? That's one of the reasons why I tell guys, don't talk about this when you first start working on this stuff. Don't talk about it, because she's going to start testing you out the gate. She's going to go, oh, you're trying to do that shit from that book that you're reading, right? And she's not going to believe that's a part of who you are. So just keep that stuff to yourself at first. But she's going to start noticing these positive changes, and she's going to like it. She's going to like these positive changes, but she's not going to be sure because you haven't been this consistent in a long time. She's going to test you to make sure that you're consistent. That consistency is going to prove to her that you're being authentic. This is who you are now. And then that's going to allow her to relax more into her feminine. Resentment and its impact. We've sort of talked about this a little bit, but when you're doing the deering stuff, you're doing the covert contract stuff, that builds resentment on both sides. And that develops when those contracts fail to yield expected rewards, right? Like I said before, you do the dishes expecting sex, and then she doesn't put out. Now you resent her for it, right? That you're the one that did it, trying to expect something out of her that you didn't communicate, right? That's why you can also, like, if your wife tells you to do the dishes, you could playfully say, "Yeah, I'll only do it if we fuck later," right? Then it's not a covert contract. And then you could, like, I do that with nurse chick all the time. She'll say, "Hey, can you get me X, Y, and Z?" And I go, "Yes, but I expect sex." That's my covert contract, right? I overtly say that stuff almost playfully, just to make it clear that that's why I'm doing this, right? No, we do that as a joke mainly. I don't recommend doing that, but you got to do things like the dishes and whatever because it needs to be done, not because you're trying to get something out of her, right? But women, man, they really sense that frustration. They sense your frustration in not complying with that covert contract, and that causes them to pull away more, right? That actually increases emotional distance when they are sensing that something's off. So you're not being authentic, right? And then addressing resentment requires shifting from transactional behaviors to genuine leadership, right? And that's where I say, like, you do the dishes because they need to be done. Now, one thing I'll say this. One thing I was telling one of my clients was, he's like, "Man, I really just don't want to do whatever it is that she asked me to do." I go, well, then what you need to do is find like man chores that you don't mind doing, and just like make sure that you're getting stuff done around the house that needs to be done. She'll be less likely to like expect you to do the dishes and other like sort of womanly type duties, because she sees that you're contributing, right? Like here's the thing, like women think that they're doing everything around the house, even though they're clearly not. They're only doing the stuff that they would be doing anyway. But when they see that you're not doing, what they perceive as anything around the house, you're not helping with any of the household duties, including the man shit, like, taking care of the cars and cleaning the gutters and like mowing the lawn and all the other stuff that needs to get done. If they sort of just see you sitting around playing video games or watching football all the time while they're doing womanly duties, that builds resentment in them because they think that they're doing everything. It's all about feels over reals, right? Even though, like, yeah, you're the major breadwinner and you're putting food on the table and you're providing the whole house that they live under, right? Like you're like, I've done enough here. They still feel like you're not contributing to the household and stuff. So it's like, if you don't want to do the duties that she's asking you to do, just make sure that you're doing other things around the house that needs to get done, before playing the video games and watching football and stuff like that. Okay. And that's, you're actually taking the initiative there, and you're doing it because it needs to get done, not because you're trying to get anything out of her. Okay. So that's shifting from transactional behavior to genuine leadership. Like you're taking the lead on shit that needs to get done around the house and not waiting for her to tell you about it, And then the last concept here in the book is shifting from people pleasing to leadership. Okay. You're not doing all this stuff to try to make her happy anymore. You're doing this because you're setting the tone and you're managing the household now. Okay. All that people pleasing behavior, it erodes that masculine dominance. It weakens attraction, basically makes you the woman in the relationship, and that causes her to lose attraction and respect over time, which kills the bedroom. Right. But by getting back into the leadership role, setting the tone, leading, all that kind of stuff, all that stuff involves making decisions confidently without seeking external validation. Like, we are going this way. We are going to do this thing. Hey, this is the plan for today. Okay. If you're the one that's like communicating the plans for the plan of the day, right? We used to call that in the Navy. We used to have a plan of the day that they would put out every morning. Actually, it would come out like every night at midnight, the plan of the day. And it was the executive officer that would write that for the ship. Like, what are the orders for the day? Like, if you're that guy, you're setting the plan of the day. If it's Sunday football day, that the plan of the day could be like, honey, I want you to relax today. Don't be doing dishes and stuff like that. Let's have fun today. Let's sit down and watch football and stuff like that. Like, you set the tone for that, right? And then if she doesn't want to sit down and watch football and she wants to do all the laundry and all that kind of stuff, that's on her. But you set the plan of the day, right? And if she comes in, she goes, I really need all the help with this. Be like, well, I set the plan of the day where you're doing this, right? That's where assertive communication comes in. You're like, today's Sunday, today's football day. I've already communicated that. That's part of the plan of the day. I'm happy to do all that stuff on Saturday, right? Next week or whatever, or I'll do that. I'll get to that tomorrow, or I'll do that later after the Lions game, or whoever your team is, right? I don't watch football anymore. If I did, it would be a Broncos game, but they're out of the running, I think, for the Super Bowl. So fuck them. But I stopped watching football when football got political. When people started taking the knee, I was like, I'm out. I'm done. Anyway, neither here nor there. Anyway, you're the one that's making the rules. Okay. That's leadership. And then you want to shift your mindset from how can I make her happy to what aligns with my values. Have you ever thought about what your values are? One of the things I talk about in the book is having a vision for your life and the relationship. That's an upcoming chapter, but that's important to have. Like, do you have a vision for your life and the relationship? If not, you're just sort of like letting life happen to you, and that's no way to live, right? But if you have a vision for your life and the relationship and the direction you want it to go, and it's aligned with your values, your girl's going to be more likely to want to climb on board with that, because women just want to join a man's lifestyle at the end of the day. And that reestablishes your masculine presence. All right. That's all I got for this episode. I think it's probably pretty short. The second half looks like it's only 25 minutes long. So But that's okay. That's okay. We are pre-recorded. I'm not interacting with you guys in the chat. I did have to edit this a little bit, which is annoying, but whatever. One of the things I like about recording this stuff on StreamYard, even when it's a pre-record, is I don't have to edit as much, but when I have a technical difficulty like that, where I have to sort of record part of it and then stop it to reboot the computer, I have to go back and edit now. And that's annoying, but whatever. It's not hard to splice two parts together, but all right, guys, that's all I got. Tune into the podcast on Friday. We are going to be going over chapter 8 in AJ's book, The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Psychology, Emotion. And that chapter is all about emotional durability and masculine presence. Yes, I will be live again. So tune into that, and I'll tell you about how the Jericho cruise went. I think at the beginning of this, I talked about Jericho cruise. I don't know. But now it says camera problems. Anyway, we'll tune in live if you guys want to know how the Jericho cruise was. We'll talk about that in between concepts from AJ's book. Guys, if you haven't done so, please like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday without fail. Thanks for sounding off in the live if you guys did. All that kind of stuff boosts us in the algorithm. So even if I'm not live, if you guys are chatting amongst yourselves, that sort of boosts us in the algorithm and helps out the show. If you guys sent super chats, I'll be sure to screenshot that and give you a shout out on social media. Speaking of social media, the links are in the description. Follow me. I'm on all the good platforms. Get on the email list, list.comeonmanpod.com. I'll send you a bunch of free stuff, including you can get my free ebook, She's Made You Weak, which talks about the betatization process and how attraction erodes over time. And then if you want to turn that dynamic around, get my new book, Get Her to Fuck You Again, which is available at books.comeonmanpod.com. That redirects you to my Amazon authors page, where you can find all my books, including Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18 and Psychology Paradigm. Get in the beer club, swap notes with other red pill aware men, and help get your life back on track. It's only $10 a month. And then if you guys want to work with me one-on-one, you can by going to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com. Book a free call with me today. We'll talk about, what's going on in your relationship, what's not working. And if I can help you, I'll show you what that looks like. And if I can't, I'll at least point you in the right direction. You will be talking to me directly, because I actually get on calls with the guys a lot, and they're like, oh, it's actually you. I thought it was going to be like a salesman. No. I'm a one-man band. You're going to talk to me. All right, guys, that's all I got. We will see you live on Friday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.